Swing for me. Oh. Thank you so much for tuning in to the RAy Casper Show, starring RAy Casper. I'm RAy Casper, and for my returning viewers and listeners here on the AM, I would just like to give you a brief refresher on what's been going on in the Erich Andreas Unexplained Flying Saucer Spaceship Gamer Boy Show. Grimmhauser. Goddamn Grimmhauser. So just in case it's your first time tuning in to the RAy Casper Show, I'll introduce myself once again. My name is RAy Casper, and I was a commander in the U.S. Navy, and I retired about 15 years ago, and I served with honor and distinction, and I served with that. I have to say that Blake Grimmhauser, petty officer, second class Blake Grimmhauser, who I just recently promoted to the rank of lieutenant commander. And now Grimmhauser, if you know who I'm talking about, now surpasses that Erich Andreas, which is now he is just a lonely lieutenant, and actually. Andreas, Lieutenant Andreas, he likes to pretend he wasn't in the Navy, but he was an officer in the British Royal Navy, and he is, as far as I know, AWOL and relocated out of the country because he's from Mongolia, and he thought his status as a Mongolian citizen would get him out of the bind that he found himself into. But that's no matter. This is taking a chance to just introduce myself to my new listeners here on the AM, and I actually, after retiring from the U.S. Navy, I started my own industrial equipment business. We did recycling, and we worked in other types of commercial industry. I don't want to get specific because I sold that business, and I made a killing. I sold it to these little Puerto Ricans that bought my business, and they even now they're still accusing me of cooking the books. Well, of course I cooked the books, and you're Puerto Ricans. You don't even know how to read English. You don't understand half of the things I was saying. So of course I cooked the books, you little grimy bastard. But that's a different story for a different day. And I was probably 58 years ago to this day. I met my beautiful beloved wife, Mabel Casper. The beautiful Mabel Casper. I lost my wife. It's been over 10 years ago now. I lost my wife. It was a terrible tragedy, and I don't want to get too specific on what happened with my wife Mabel. We had a lot of problems, Mabel and I. And she was always accusing me of getting the 1-2 Buckaroo, the scooty boot, going with her sister, but who was significantly younger than my wife. And I'll be honest, between you and I'm not even though I'm a man of a certain age, I'm just not a fan of the older women. I don't want you. I just you come out of the shower. I'm looking at two shriveled up bowling pins or pine cones, and I just you look like the Shaggy DA, and I just RAy Casper isn't having it because RAy Casper is still bringing on the heartache. Yes, he's bringing on the heartache, and RAy Casper still packs some serious lumber. He packs some serious lumber. Okay, anyway, that's it. I have two evil sons. I mean, two young sons, or they're not young anymore. They're in their 50s. But I have two sons, and they both work in farming, and one of them is well, yes, I'll have to say it before it comes out anyway. Yes, one is a convicted felon, and he's got his life back together, and they work in farming. But I never really cared much for either of these boys. They never represented their Casper name properly, and both of them. They both have the look of their mother, and that Mabel. Oh, everybody talks about how lovely Mabel Casper was, but Mabel Casper was a real ball breaker, I'll tell you that. And both of these sons of hers that she ended up excrementing out, they're not too bright, but that's a different story. That's because they have the majority of Mabel's genes, not my genes, Mabel's genes, and then. So, we've gone over that idiot Andreas on his flying saucer Bigfoot show, the Mongolian. Don't let him tell you on his show he's not Mongolian. He's a Mongolian bastard. He's a Mongolian bastard. And he's AWOL. Now, Grimmhauser. When I had my business, I was working on. We had a recycling mechanism, a large recycling mechanism, and we were taking these recycling from these recycling plants, and we were breaking it down. And I made a pretty penny in this business. And then one day when I will not blame it on the fact that maybe I had a scotch or two that day, but I always had a scotch or two at work because I had all these Hispanics working for me. You ever work with Hispanics, you're gonna need a scotch or two on occasion. So I had a scotch or two, but nothing more than the regular. This is just a slight disclaimer for anyone who may be listening that knows about the affairs of what happened here. And I was attempting to do some repairs on the recycler, and my pant leg got caught in the mechanism, and I lost my leg. It was a horrific accident, but I would not have been not paying attention to what I was doing if I wasn't rekindling, if that's the right word, the treachery, Blake Grimmhauser, petty officer, second class, strewn upon me, serving under me when I was a commanding officer in the U.S. Navy, and we served on an aircraft carrier together, and the officer second class was always sniffing around my stateroom. Grimmhauser is a very nosy individual, and Grimmhauser got into my private stores of coconuts, he got into my private stores of cheese, and he got into my private stores of pumpkins. Yeah, that's right, you heard me, pumpkins, my special pumpkins. And he decided to go to my commanding officer and report me for some licentious act which did not happen. It only happened in the recesses of Grimmhauser's sick, twisted mind, because he's sick. Grimmhauser's sick. He's sick, I tell you. He's sick. He's sick. Anyway, so him and Stanley Cobb, Stanley Cobb, Stanley Cobb and his stupid whiskey channel or whatever the hell he calls it, ex-whiskey runner is what he is, he was an officer. Well, he was kind of an officer, he served with us as well, and Stanley Cobb always talking about whiskey this and cornhole Cobb's that and Cobb this, Cobb that. I changed Stanley's name about 10 years ago because I had a falling out with Stanley, which you can hear about in the earlier episodes here on the AM. I changed Stanley's name to Stanky because he never washed his ass. Stanley didn't wash his ass because he's an old hillbilly whiskey runner with his pitchfork, and a pig in his trousers half down half the time, chasing that pig around. Come here, pig. Come here, Biggie, and Stanley. So I call Stanley by his new name, which is the Stanky Cornhole, because that's what he did to those sows. Stanky Cornhole, Stanky Cornhole. Oh my God, him and Grimmhauser plotted against me, but I lost my leg due to petty officers, second classes, infidelities, serving under me, and the fact that I am of a certain age and I was unable to concentrate on my machinery, my plant, that I made a tragic mistake. But Grimmhauser is to blame for that, but that's a different story. That's a different story for a different day. So if you ever want to hear something really clever, you want to hear me, RAy Casper, over on the Erich Andreas Unexplained Flying Saucer Show. You know what I do over there? Now, I do all the voiceovers for those retro vintage commercials, and I do it brilliantly. It's better than the regular commercial. And I also say some real foul things because I'm trolling those idiots to all the women that come on the show. He has these 3 different broads that come on there, and each one is dumber than the next, and they don't know their ass from the hole in the wall. None of these broads know their ass from a hole in the wall. But you want to know a secret? RAy Casper does. I know the difference quite well. And that's why all those girls are always sliding in my DMs. I know they wish that I was sliding into something else, but they're always sliding into my DMs, trying to get cute with RAy Casper, starring RAy Casper. I'm RAy Casper. Anyway, that's just a little bit I wanted to let the viewing audience here on the AM get to know RAy Casper, and I think that's about all I really have to cover in this episode. Hopefully soon we'll go back to doing the watch-alongs on the RAy Casper Show of some of my favorite old-time crooners on the RAy Casper Show. Sorry, RAy Casper. Anyway, come visit me next week, and the week after, and the week after on the Erich Andreas Flying Saucer Butt Plug Grimmhauser Gamer Gay Boy Show. And those 2 bum chums, when they're not playing pick-up sticks with their pee holes, they're picking brown peanuts out of poop. And that's all I got to say. So that's all. Hey, thank you. And swing for me. Woo. Go. Boogie woogie. Boogie woogie. Woo! Swing for me. Go! Go! Horns! Hey! Bob-a-doo-bit. Swing party.